Hello everyone, today we are checking out Phony by Luca Kaneshiro. So I'm pretty excited to check out this one. We've heard Luca a couple times now. We've heard him in Hope in the Dark and Jazz on the Clock. But both of those were group songs and originals. This time we're checking out a cover where I believe he should be the only vocalist here. So I'm really excited what he has to show us. A lot of you guys have been recommending Luca, so I'm excited to see it. Let's just jump right into it in 3, 2, 1, play.
この夜空より綺麗な花はないわなぜならば全ては嘘でできているアンティパティは
Ooh. All right, let's go over that already. His voice is very full. He's got volume to his voice, and I don't mean volume as in how loud it is. I mean volume in how rich and how full sounding it is. His voice, it's hard to learn a voice like that. That's talent, and he's obviously got the skill to manipulate his voice to pitch it just right. That I want to go back. That sounded extremely pleasant. Listen to how he does that. He's coming up high, so it's bum 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 bum. Obviously, my vocal control may not be quite as stellar as Luca's here, but he's got this soft tone to it, and he manipulates it just back and forth, letting it fill up like bum 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 bum. Obviously, you know, I can't do it quite like him, but it's. Do you hear that? When he expels the air from his body, it's airy and breathy, but it's never lacking support. He's always got this beautiful breath support when he's projecting. So even when he's singing quietly like this, there's always backup from just his one vocal track. He doesn't need multiple vocal tracks to make his projection strong. And that's already a stellar introduction. And we've got this beautiful digital drum set here. And then I love this. Ooh. I love this. I want to point out a lot of people, when they hear this kind of like editing and vocal editing, they'll notice that it's chopped up, but what really makes it stick out and what makes a segment like this so unique and so catchy is the dynamic sound. So when you're hearing, if you're not listening on earphones or headphones, you probably won't catch it. But if you are, you can hear it swaps between your left and your right ear, and it makes it that much more jumpy, that much more frantic, that much more exciting. Let's keep going. We're not even half a minute in. Let's keep going. Nice. His pitch is beautiful. I wanna. I just every time he sings a line, I just want to go back and hear it again, because the way he enunciate. Well, obviously I can't enunciate as well as he can, but the way he enunciates each word and each line is so it's punctual, but it never feels staccato. It never feels like he's cutting himself off. It's always punctual. He closes the syllable and he opens with the next one, and he can maintain a flow to a line without letting a word end openly. So you'll hear a lot of vocalists when they're singing, they have to sort of slur their words to get to the next one in time, and a lot of times that is by choice, but sometimes that's out of necessity. And this is a vocalist, Luca Kaneshiro. This is a vocalist who can control his pronunciation super well. I'm very impressed with just how well he's enunciating these lyrics. It's so beautiful. Nice. It's got this sassiness to it. If you caught how he said that, he let a twang out on this one. And that's a great way to add some twist and variation to your lines, because obviously this is a catchy rhythm. This is keeping the pace going. Listeners are staying they're staying on track with the song. The attention is kept, but if that goes on too long, it can drag on, you know? And so when a vocalist adds that twang, that inflection, varies up their projection like this, it keeps it interesting. It keeps it dynamic. It keeps the song alive. And he is capturing that perfectly. Ooh, nice. Ooh. Did you hear that high note? That was beautiful. And I believe we're also getting more than one vocal track now. I believe I heard more than one vocal track there. Let's go back a bit. Yeah, so there's these scattered vocal notes in the back of the mix. I don't know if that's him though. That could be a digital choral effect on like a synth or a keyboard, which is probably more likely. But if that is him, he's got an extremely impressive range. But regardless, that high note he's hitting in the front of the mix is super satisfying. And it looks like he's going to continue that and hype it up even more. Nice. Yes. Oh. Okay, so here we can hear very clearly that there are multiple vocal tracks. We've got a second vocal track in the mix backing him up on the low, which is actually a surprising to me, because I would have expected after that high note that the vocal track backs him up on the high. But he's taken that on the front of the mix. He's going for it, and he's doing it super well. Like, listen to how he's singing this. Ooh, beautiful. He projected that well, and his sustain, this is something I noticed in Jazz on the Clock as well. I believe it was him who sang this when I pointed this out in Jazz on the Clock as well. When he sang Jazz Showtime, his sustain on his notes, he does not waver. His vocal control doesn't... whenever he's sustaining, he never has any any dips or any overshooting or anything. He can hit a note and hold it. And obviously, you know, a lot of vocalists will hit a note and hold it and show off that projection, that pitch control, but usually there's a little bit of wavering, and you can hear it and you expect it because that's human. It's to be expected. But he has got a phenomenal discipline over his voice. This is something you'd expect from like a voice actor or someone who's very accustomed to just manipulating their voice and having to hit these tones and sustain them throughout a recording session. So I'm extremely impressed with his vocals already. This is incredible. Listen to that note holding out. Oh, I like how he says that. Ooh, he held that out. Ooh. He jumped low. I was not expecting that. I want to go back. He hit a high note. At first, I thought At first, I wasn't too sure how he hit that note there. But I think he's just doing a straight up jump. I don't think he's like I don't know if he's trying to jump into like his head voice or if he just does that just without changing his register. Right there. I think he jumps up for his register to add an inflection to that note. That's nice. Ooh. Nice. And you can see he is playing with his voice. He's enjoying this cover and he's adding this variation and charm to it. And his voice is extremely charismatic. It's soft, but it still projects, and it never feels like it's lacking. Even when he's singing these softer tones, and he's not backing it up on the low as much, and even when he's only on one vocal track and he doesn't have that lower vocal track supporting him, his voice always feels complete. And not everyone's voice sounds like that. Not everyone can sing and sound like they've completed the mix with just one vocal track. That's why so many people stack their vocal tracks. That's why so many people spend hours on their EQ trying to get it just right, to find just the right volume for their vocals. And it's possible that that's what they've done for the mix here, but it doesn't sound like that. It sounds like his voice is just that naturally pleasant to the ear, and I really like it. I like that. Dance time about 11 seconds. Okay, I liked that. That vocal effect was unexpected. I would not have expected that vocal effect, but it still sounds pleasant. Oh, we've got this change in demeanor. Ooh, and we've got this echo in the back. Ooh. No, interesting. I have to say, Luca here, he has a very unique way of projecting his voice. And it sounds like when he projects, it always raises in pitch a little bit, but I think that's just because of the song he's singing here. But it's quite unique. It doesn't sound quite like when you hear another vocalist project. I don't know if that's because he's focusing more on his throat rather than his diaphragm, but I couldn't say. I'm not the biggest vocal expert out there, obviously, but it doesn't sound like he's filling up his voice from his stomach. It sounds like he's pushing his voice, pushing the air out through his throat. And I believe that is intentional. I believe he's doing that to accomplish the straining effect. It feels more intense and more, it feels like he's, like imagine you're doing a jog throughout the song, and when he's straining his voice like that, it feels like you have a burst of speed, and then he kind of slows it back down so that he can do another burst of speed. It's a very pleasant lull, and it's addicting to the ear. I like that. Ooh, he hit that note. Wait, go back. I want to hear that note again. Nice. He hit that note well. He hit that note right on. That was beautiful. All right. Well then, that was awesome. I'm really liking what his voice sounds like. It's a very unique voice. It does remind me a little bit of how we heard Shu sing in Jazz on the Clock. Just the way he's got this, I don't want to say nasally, because it's not a nasally voice, but it's just got this hint, like if you just barely went just a slight tad nasally, and then you backed it up with a deeper, bassier tone, I feel like that sort of tone, that sort of pitch, that sort of projection is what you hear when you hear Luca and Shu. And obviously, I haven't heard a whole lot from either of them, but still, that's just what I've noticed from what I've heard in Jazz on the Clock and the song. So yeah, I'm really liking Luca's voice. It's a very pleasant to the ear. It always sounds complete. It always sounds full. And I imagine whoever mixed this cover, I imagine they were very appreciative of that, because his voice sounds very, very fun to mix. It sounds very, I don't want to say easy, because I mean, mixing is never easy, but it sounds very friendly to the mix, because it feels like whoever's mixing the tracks can play around a little more and manipulate the instrumental more than having to worry about the voice, because his voice is just naturally satisfying and naturally filling. But yeah, thank you so much for recommending this cover to me. I'm really liking Luca's voice, and feel free to recommend more in the comments below. Aside from that, I will see you next time. Thank you very much.